president going over, a woman yelled out, what about foster care? Kids are dying in foster care as well. There's a lot of sadness in any death, in any situation, and anywhere. Take 5 to stay alive.
As you see, there is a lot of pain in this city, from everything from the death of children in foster care to the death of young people who are abused. And what I'm calling out to the people of this borough and this city, that the good people of this city do not have to argue, yell, and scream at each other because we're on the same side. We do not want an innocent child or adult to die in any unforeseen circumstances of any level of violence. And as the borough president, I have made it clear that from 22 years of my life, I wore a bulletproof vest protecting the children and people of this city. And that same energy and spirit that I did as a police officer, I'm bringing into Borough Hall. Safety first. Our children deserve to live. Our adults deserve to live. All lives matter. And so some may look at this presentation we have here of a coffin with photos of individuals inside who have lost their lives to gun violence and say, why are you trying to be so controversial? Because we cannot continue, we could not continue to move without people being safe. And that is the goal that we want to accomplish. And so what we must do is to ensure that gun violence is addressed and dealt with. And let me tell you something about New Yorkers. Everybody can yell and scream, but we want to continue to be committed. So here's our call. We call the 5 to stay alive. The 5 to stay alive. And the 5 things we are calling on to stay alive. 1, see something, say something. That's more than for terrorist actions. We don't call it stitching. We call it standing up in leadership. The opportunity to be a leader, to rid your community of violence, particularly gun violence. Check your surroundings. It's imperative that family members are aware of their surroundings before a gun reaches the street. It is in someone's book bag, under someone's mattress, in someone's waistband. Parents must play a very active role in ensuring that their children are not carrying illegal guns in their household. Speak to Washington. Washington, D.C. is so important, and Washington plays a crucial role in this initiative. The gun initiative and the overproliferation of handguns in our community has had a major impact. Too many guns are on our street, and Washington must play the role of ridding our guns off the streets of New York. Speak to Albany. Had a great initiative called Operation Snub, guns spelled backwards. This initiative paid for on-the-ground activities and how we go about ridding guns off our streets. Non-profits that were funded, that I advocated for when I was the state senator in Albany, that allowed young men and women who were willing to go out and put themselves in harm's way to deal directly with the gun problem in the borough. We need to refund that. Governor Cuomo cut the funding, and we're saying return that funding, Albany, to these great programs for Operation Snug. Lastly, we are calling on the City of New York to allocate an emergency $10 million to the on-the-ground organizations. They cannot do this alone. They do not have the right amount of funding. This fight is not an NYPD issue alone. It is an issue that involves every New Yorker. And if we have New Yorkers who are willing to do the job on the ground, then we must give them the financial support as well as the agency's support, as Councilman Jumaane Williams has spoken of several times. The temperature rises should not cause a rise in gun violence, should not cause a rise in bullets, should not cause a rise in death. This issue is so important that we're at the crisis stage, and we don't want to confuse the two. Because we are calling for proper funding and proper police practices, we are not calling for the return of the days when hundreds of thousands of young people were stopped and frisked for no reason at all. That is not good police practice. Good police practice does not mean criminalizing young people who have done nothing wrong at all. It means making sure that we use the police resources in a proper fashion, in a proper manner. That's why we're here today. This coffin will remain here for a week. Our communities are lying in state. Just as some prominent human being or individual will lie in state in a governmental building, our community members are prominent and are important. 9 people shot in East New York, over 20 people shot over the weekend. A death of a young man in one of our public housing facilities. This is why I want every Brooklynite, as they walk past this building, to see this coffin. And if it means you yelling out about issues that are important to you, if it means you looking at this coffin in the same way people let out pains at funerals, we want you to do that. I don't want to stymie your pain. I don't want to tell you you don't have the right to call out on what you are feeling. That is why I made it clear. If your issue is something you want addressed, come be my partner and let's address that issue together. I'm not going to do it alone, and you can't do it alone. We can only do it if we come together and figure out the solution and find a solution.
All right.
We are at a pivotal period. We significantly put a mirror in this coffin. We want people to look over in this coffin and see your own image. When a bullet is discharged from a barrel of a gun, it does not discriminate. It will take the life of anything and anyone that it hits. And so your image here, it says the people in that coffin does not deserve to die. They do not deserve to die, and neither do you deserve to die. And it includes those who wore blue jeans and blue uniform. It's wrong for police officers to be assassinated, and it's wrong for innocent people to be shot in the back at the same time. Innocent people should not die. All lives matter. Innocent people should not die. And so I want to call on the gentlemen who have been partners in this fight to make sure our streets are safe. The first person is the councilmen who have clearly been extremely significant about raising the voice on how we should deal with the issue of gun violence in our community. Councilman Jumaane Williams.
I want to just say thank you to the Borough President for his leadership. And as I was listening to the people in the crowd screaming out, that's what you're supposed to do. But don't let them divide us by what you think we're saying. Listen to what we're saying. That gentleman who was talking about the officers who were killed has every right, because that officer was killed with a gun that was illegal in the hands of somebody who made terrible decisions. All of these things are connected. We don't want anyone to die by the hand of a gun that should not be in the streets, in the hands of young people dealing with structural deficits in their community. and we know there are structural deficits. We are trying our best to fill them, but we want to make sure as our young people know the strength is not falling into the trap that was set for you. The strength is in rising above it and not picking up the gun to begin with, as difficult as it may be. We are up here trying. We don't want cops shot. We don't want young black and Latino men shot. We want no one to be shot and killed. This past week, over 20 people were shot and killed in in New York City. I had 3 shootings in my district alone. This is an epidemic, a pandemic, not just in this city, but across this entire country, and we must treat it as such. In the Bronx, they are rightfully getting all of the experts up there to deal with Legionnaire's disease so they can nip it in the bud. We need all of the experts and all of the people to get involved with the gun violence, because people are dying at a higher rate than any other disease that's going on in this country. Since 9/11, there have been 74 people killed in terrorist attacks in this country. We've invaded 2 countries. We are in how many countries with military? We spend over $800 billion on homeland security. Since 2001, over 150,000 people have been shot and killed in this country, and we haven't done nearly even close to anything that we've done on terrorism. People are dying every single day in this country with gun violence, and we don't have what it takes to get it done. Whether it's mass shootings that we spend the most time on, or young black men who are getting shot and killed. And we know it's young black men who are shooting, and we know it's young black men who are dying. The media do not need to tell us that that's what it is. But we need assistance in getting it done. This is a public health crisis, and there are 2 tracks. There is a supply of guns and there is a demand. We need the federal government to step in with the supply of guns that are coming into our cities on a very real and daily basis. And don't tell me to deal with just the illegal guns, because all of the illegal guns were legal at some point. So we have to deal with that. And that is a federal government that has to do that. And we can do it in a way that respects the Second Amendment, a right that out-trump the rights of those people who are dead in those coffins. We must do both at the same time. The demand has to do with the penchant of violence, the penchant to pick up those guns, the systematic and structural problems that are going on and similar in every single community where there's gun violence, in every single community that we've seen over-policing across this country. The unemployment rate is the same. The access to education is the same. The housing availability is the same. Poverty is the same. We have to deal with those structural issues. That does not mean that there is not something called self-responsibility. Those 2 things have to intersect. Stop trying to take them apart. We have to deal with both of those issues. And as I heard people screaming out their issues, what it said to me is, we are collectively failing at this. We can't just point to the mayor. We can't just come to the city council. We can't just point to police. All of us have to get together. The Department of Health, the Department of Education, HRA, SPS, all of us have to get together. We are collectively failing when it comes to gun violence in this city and in this country. That's what the message is today. We have the ability to fix it. We passed a budget in the city council. We spent $170 million on police who are part of the partnership. What a great message it would have been if we said we spent that money on police and every child who wants a job in this city can have one. We missed the second half of that conversation. It would have only cost $100 million to make sure every child had a job, and we missed it. And I hope we correct that going forward. And I'm so thankful, however, of the mayor, of the city council for funding the levels that they have and the jobs that we have. The gun violence task force that people are going to talk about, that's not just cure violence, but wraparound services to $15 million. But we need more. We need more. We won't solve this problem until we take the gun violence and public safety out of the realm of just police. If we keep it in that realm, we're going to have problems.
Somebody help me. I'm living with my autistic kid. We play busted and not
This is the pain that's going on in our city right now. This is the pain that's going on in the city right now. It's all connected. This is what it is.
I'm living in Georgia with bed bugs. That's the first time I need my son. Please, somebody.
We want to help you. We can help you if you go and talk to the gentleman.
Somebody help me. Help me, please. I'm in the street with my autistic son. Please, Dad, I don't do nothing. Please help me. Somebody.
This is the pain that we're feeling.
Help me, please. Because it's my autistic son. Getting bed bugs. Bed bugs. Getting bed bugs. Please help me. Please help me. Somebody help me.
It's real out here.
Somebody help me, please. Please, somebody help me. Help me, somebody. Don't help me or nothing. I'm at the bed bugs. I need my son. Please. Okay, I'm going to help you. Somebody, anybody, please. Please, please. Please help me. Somebody, anybody. Help me, please. I beg you. I beg you. I beg you. My son is in Niger. In Niger. There's a bus eating him. Niger. Yolanda Gabriel. Niger. My son is autistic. My son is autistic. Please help me. Somebody help me. Please help me, please. Somebody please help me. My son is autistic.
They're going to help you. They're going to help you. They're going to help you.
Bring her inside. Calm her down.
All right, I'm going to take care of you.
Our communities are dealing with so many issues that the media does not cover. And then they oftentimes try to blame these communities when they respond like any other human being would respond, put it in the same circumstances. So as I get off, I want to ask the media, and particular tabloid newspapers, not to use this issue to divide us. This is not the 1990s where we had 2,200 murders. We are on record to still have comparatively a historic low number of murders, and I say that knowing that that means nothing to the person that has been killed. But if you continue to try to drive a wedge, if you continue to try to talk about stop, question, and frisk, as if not any of us want it gone away. The only thing we want to make sure that it is done constitutionally. If you continue to pretend that we are anti-police, if you continue to act like we're doing nothing about it, you are not helping the issue, you are talking in hyperbole, it is BS, and you are making this issue worse. If you are not going to help us, step aside so that the people who want to help us have the loudest voice. This is a complex issue with complex things in a community that has been historically challenged. Please help us fix this. All the resources we have are right here. The nation is watching New York City, where we go, and we have an opportunity today. Thank you.
You know, I think it's so important that when we do these press events, if you notice when we do them here at Borough Hall, we are extremely comfortable with people showing their pain. We do not feel as though people who are showing their pain is being disrespectful to us. They see it as an opportunity to push their pain through. And people are hurting. You saw this mother was in pain. Her son is autistic and he has bites from bed bugs. And no telling how she tried to navigate the system. And so we are aware of these pains, and that's why we want to come together to find a solution. That's what we're doing. Together. together we will find a solution. And my staff took that young mother inside, and we're going to do all that we can to find out how we can fix that pain, because pain is real. As the mother of the young lady was telling me about a foster child needs clothing, I'm going to go upstairs and write that check. And I'm not doing it because she's here. I write checks every day to keep people from being displaced and thrown out of their home, or to buy book bags for children, because I'm real about protecting the lives of Brooklynites and New Yorkers. That's where I am. And that's what these gentlemen are here from. Man Up, A.T. Mitchell. When we funded SNUD, there was no homicides in the catchment area where A.T. Mitchell and Man Up was located. This young man has done a brilliant job, but he can't find the funding to continue his job. A.T. Mitchell from Man Up.
I want to first begin by thanking the Borough President of Brooklyn, Eric Adams, for being bold enough to set aside an entire week where we as a borough will begin to focus on this issue, just this one issue amongst so many other issues of gun violence. I want to thank the council member, Jamani Williams, who is also one of our colleagues in this fight on the city council, along with our city council member, Inez Barron, and on the state level, my state assembly member, who has been with us from the very beginning with this issue, Assemblyman Charles Barron. As I am the executive director of a community-based organization located in East New York, Brownsville, Brooklyn, called Man Up Incorporated. And we have been one of the few organizations that have been blessed to be funded so that we can apply a model and a method that directly targets gun violence in the hottest precincts throughout the city. So in Brooklyn, from which we are located, we are based in the 75th precinct, which is East New York. The 75th precinct, for those of you who do not know, is the largest precinct in the entire city. It is considered the most dangerous precinct in New York City. Amongst my fellow organizations that service some of the other precincts, our organizations work directly in the 75. Inside the 75th precinct, we have funding that gives us an opportunity to target this gun violence disease in two areas, albeit made at 15. We have identified 15 hot spots in the 75. We as an organization are only able to target 2. So there's 13 outstanding target areas from which we cannot cover because of lack of funding. And you see them identified on this map here. The shooting that took place this weekend, yes, it was in the East New York community in the 75th precinct, but it was not in the area from which our organization works day in and day out. And so we know, being on the ground, on the front line, that we have here in Brooklyn that we can apply to throughout the borough and throughout the city that works. And what we're calling for is the emergency infusion of more money so that we can expand into the other 13 hotspots and into the other precincts in Brooklyn so that we can cover the hotspots by using a model that brings community people into the fold. Like mentioned, we are not an anti-police organization. We are a pro-community-based organization. The police have a job to do, and we as a community have a job to do as well. And for those of us that live in these neighborhoods, we know that our job is very difficult. And so that we do know that there is things in place. I can attest that there are models that we have, that we're utilizing in this borough, that statistics show is effective. As mentioned, when we were funded in 2013, we were able to enjoy a complete year in this target area where no one was shot or killed. And we know that if we was to continue to be funded well, that we can almost guarantee by using community and putting community people on the front line that we can experience similar inside the borough. So what we are here to do is to stand in solidarity with the other organizations that we partner with, that we are a part of what we call the body of peace. And we want to be able to let you know this week that there is a gun epidemic in Brooklyn, and it is a disease, and if it's left unchecked, it might be taking place in East New York today, but it can also take place right here in Borough Hall tomorrow. Because just like any other disease, if it's left unchecked, that disease can spread throughout the entire borough. And that is what we do not want to see happen. So please, this entire week we want you to come visit the Borough Hall, come see this casket, think of ways that you can participate as a community, share your ideas. Our organization will be out here in full-fledged this week. We will be conducting what we call the violence infection quick test, where we can almost diagnose you on the spot that shows where you are infected at this very moment by violence, whether that's by watching too much television or playing too many video games. Everybody is infected to some degree, and none of us are exempt or immune to this disease. So I want to close by commending the borough president, the city council, and the state assembly for continually to at least let this issue be somewhat of a priority to them. And let's hope that we as a city sound off and tell our elected officials and our other community leaders that we need more funding for organizations that are on the ground so that we can do our part as a community. Thank you.
We want to also thank the 8-4 precinct officers here from the 8-4 who's really keeping the civility of allowing this event to be carried on in a proper way. Mike Tucker, Lay the Guns Down campaign, great on-the-ground organization. Mike Tucker.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Thank you to the borough president for allowing us to come out and speak the epidemic of gun violence that's plaguing our communities. In 2005, I lost a son to gun violence at the hands of a New York City police officer. And ever since that day, I've been on the ground, out here, fighting side by side with elected officials, police officers, to make sure that people understand that we have a problem. We cannot just walk around anymore and act like there's nothing going on in our community. So I'm pleading with the mayor to please send the funds that is needed to help us do our job. I'm not funded by SNUG. I created a program called Community Hub. Community Hub is basically local businesses that are in the community of Brooklyn sponsoring my organization to make sure that the programs that we need to present to the community happen. And this is important. We have to work together. There's no more standing around. You can't blame the police officers for what's going on. You can't blame the elected officials. If you want to do something to change what's going on in your community, you have to be a part of it. Don't wait until death knocks on your door to say, I'm tired of what's going on. It has to stop now. I want to send the condolences out to the Smith family, family of Mr. Darnell Smith. Unfortunately, he lost his life this weekend. It has to stop. The media, don't tear the community apart. Don't have the organizations and the elected officials and the community arguing because y'all decide that somebody lost his life and y'all want to talk about what that person, forget what happened yesterday. That person is a human being. He lost his life in a tragic manner. So we need to respect that. There's no respect. We have to respect respect each other, and we can grow together. One more thing that I need to say. I'm saying to every individual that's thinking about doing a gun violence incident or participating in it, stop being selfish. Because if you're participating in gun violence, you're being selfish because you're not thinking about your family, your loved one, or the victim's family.
Extremely active around the gun violence issue. My friend Tony Hurd. Tony.
I've got mixed emotions, and I'm going to kind of go off the ranch a little bit right here. With all due respect to the leadership of Eric Adams, our borough president, who I have the utmost confidence in, and that of Jamani Williams, who's been a standard bearer out in the front lines helping us with this gun violence issue. I differ a little bit with regards to the statements made that we can't hold our elected officials accountable. At the end of the day, when they take that oath, when they get those paychecks, and they go to those luncheons and those dinners, and say that they're representing our community, well, hell, represent our community. At the end of the day, we need individuals like this to stand up. Maybe Eric should be the mayor. Because we need leadership to stand up and take a position to say that we have to be about the changes that we're calling for in our community. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a hurt black man. I'm a hurt American. I'm a hurt New Yorker. I can rattle off a number of names of women that I talk to every day who have lost their loved ones to gun violence. And every day I go to sleep trying to hold back a tear because I can't do anything to help them. Because I've got a city that puts pride in paying for parades and pride in bringing a Democratic National Convention here and can identify millions of dollars to do that. But we can't put these young brothers and sisters to work. I have an issue with that. Forgive me if I stand here like an angry black man. I'm hurt. I'm hurt for Tammy Merritt. I'm hurt for Lynette Merritt. I'm hurt for Natasha. I'm hurt for all those women that I talk to every night trying to console them to say that change is going to come. Well, I thank you, Eric, because today I believe we can do it. But this mayor, step up and do your job.
And I think it's important to hear from the full scope of our coalition. We're here with Kareem Nelson, Wheelchairs Against Gun Violence.
Good afternoon, people. My organization is Wheelchairs Against Guns. I'm primarily based in the school. I'm talking to the younger kids because if y'all not aware, black men graduating college, the percent is 5.5. My organization, we're in the schools trying to educate our youth about the seriousness of gun violence. I've been in this wheelchair 20 years. I took a bullet. I've done everything the streets entail, so I have the knowledge. It's like all the brothers up here to help our youth. But we have to give them something. There's nothing out here for these youth. I was once a troubled child, and there was nothing in my community for me to do. So we keep saying stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence. But it's more T-Mobiles in our communities than recreation centers. There's nothing for our kids to do at all. So why the guns and the gangs is winning? Because we can't provide something positive for them. They have to travel out there to community centers and put themselves in danger. Gang, they can't travel like how they used to. They can't do what they used to, so we have to provide. We need the funding. I supply organization out of my SSI check, which is $888 a month. I do it all for my organization, and I don't care if we don't get no funding because we still gonna move, but we cry out. RAG cries out because there's a 5.5% black men graduating college. That's sad. That has to come back to the education system. And we're here to help them. So we ask that y'all support. We ask that y'all write the letters to the mayor, Albany, everywhere. Support us. We're the grassroots that are out here. The rappers is not out here. They're getting our kids in so much trouble and not telling them how to get out of trouble. We're here. We're here for your kids. So please support us. Please show us. Please Google Against Guns. Please Google Man Up. Please Google GMAT. Need y'all. Because I continue to...
And we also have other parts of members of the coalition. New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, GMAT, Say Peace to Gun Violence, and there are just so many organizations on the ground who are giving their lives to ensuring this issue of gun violence is stamped out. And yes, the numbers are down, We have been trending in the right direction, but the reality is that it's no consolation to a family member who experienced some form of gun violence. That is our goal, not until all parents are relieved from the fact that their child has not been or will not be a victim of gun violence. And that's what this coffin will be here about for this week. Part of solving the problem is to acknowledge the problem. And the solve and the solution starts with us by creating those partnerships, and these organizations have created those partnerships. We'll open the floor up to any questions you'll have at this time. The coffin is going to remain here in front of Brooklyn Borough Hall for all who come downtown to do their business, to understand this is the top of our business, and that's ending the premature death of innocent people. We'll open the floor to any questions.
Ross?
I'm sorry, we have the representative here from New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, who has been really an extreme advocate around this issue. Our colleagues and allies in Albany as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christine Arroyo. I'm from New Yorkers Against Gun Violence. And what I would like to say is, while New York has made great progress in recent years reducing gun violence, it is still unacceptably high. This weekend's mass shooting in East graphically shows how gun violence devastates communities. We appeal to Congress to follow New York's lead and path to universal background checks, to keep guns out of dangerous hands, and to toughen penalties for illegal gun trafficking.
Yeah, of course.
We also need to educate community members, especially our youth, to power comes from the ability to advocate for themselves and their community for the barrel of the gun. Thank you.
Ross?
I wanted to ask specifically what groups would this $10 million go to, and also have you spoken to the mayor de Blasio already about this aspect?
The process of how the money is disseminated, we'll leave it up to the criteria and the methodologies that the city carries out. We are not trying to reroute funds. Jamani Williams, who heads the Gun Violence Task Force, has already created a manner in which to vet the organizations and ensure they go to those organizations with the track record of preventing gun violence. We reached out to both the mayor's office and the city council to discuss this emergency infusion of $10 million to these on-the-ground organizations.
What did they say?
We did not get a response back from them as of yet.
Todd?
Eric, some police officers have said to me on the street that the abrupt stoppage of risk was the permission to criminals to carry guns. What do you say to that?
I think that's incorrect, and as a police officer, we all want a wide range of tools to use. And the proper use of stop and frisk is a great tool. I am a supporter of stop and frisk. I'm a supporter of broken window policing. But the manner in which you use a tool is not to abuse, it's to solve the crime. Stop and frisk, de-escalation of the numbers, has nothing to do with the gun violence that we're seeing. We had shootings when we had stop and frisk. That is not the answer to do illegal stop and frisk. The answer is proper police practices and a combination. I believe police have taken us only as far as they can go. Now it's time for the version of community involvement, and that is among these organizations that are here now.
Any just press? Question for press?
Right here, Steph, right here.
Yeah, Sonia.
How do you feel about the Summer All Out program this year? Do you feel like it has been effective in some places in Brooklyn?
It's open. The approach to gun violence, it comes from many different angles. There is not a magic bullet to solve the illegal bullets. It comes from a combination. Some are all out. Proper use of stop and frisk, clergy nonviolence movement, these organizations. And so you don't want to remove certain elements, and we don't have to pit the elements against each other. Having our officers leave the desk to come and stand on street corners is the proper manner in which we could add to the component of decreasing gun violence. That is one of the tools, but there are many other tools, as Yamani Williams has stated so many times. All the agencies should be involved in dealing with this issue of gun violence. You want to ask me?
I just want to say one thing. The Summer All-Out program is fine for law enforcement to develop an all-out program. Where are the other agencies' all-out program to work alongside them in the same communities? And that is the problem. When we talk about gun violence, we immediately just go to the law enforcement aspect. But every agency should be coming up with their all-out program with the same statistics that the police department use so that we can work together on the problem. We have tried it with just law enforcement. It brings another set of problems. If we go at this together, we can solve it together, and it can be more substantial and effective.
I think Councilman Williams just raised an important point that all scholars can simply look at. When you look at gun violence across America, and you see the same elements exist in those communities, then the reality is that something is there. When you see high unemployment, when you see educational issues, when you see issues around domestic violence and the issue around healthcare issues and lack of quality food, all of those underlying issues are part of the process. And what he has been saying, let's look at all those agencies that control those entities so that we can have a holistic approach. NYPD gave us all out. What is the DOE giving us? How do they open their school buildings so children can have safe spaces that they can go into? What is the Department of Labor doing to ensure that those young men 18 from 24 are going to ensure that they have some form of employment? What is the mental health institutions doing? So everyone must be a part of this problem. We can't merely say lock them up. We have to say build them up so they won't be laying down in the park.
Build them up.
Young people from nowhere to go every what would you say to them?
I would say to them that join this campaign and look at the 5 steps to stay alive and join us here. On the 22nd, we have an initiative here at Borough Hall. Borough Hall has never been used in the manner that we're using it now. It is truly the people's house. But join our campaign to call on the mayor to open our school buildings. Our young people should have access to school buildings. It should not be up until 3 p.m. and then we kick them out and say, do not enter trespass sign. They should be able to use the gyms, the pools, the classrooms, the rooms. They cannot use McDonald's as a recreational center when we have school buildings. So they should be part of this campaign, and we want to energize them to do that.
Very good. Okay.
Guys, we're going
With regards to the August 22nd date, I want to be very clear. This gentleman opened up these doors for us, so we start the process. Although we asked for the city's involvement and didn't get a response, we've started the process. August 22nd, bring your 8 to 18-year-old here to Borough Hall. We're going to register them to participate in our youth empowerment, youth outreach program so that they can actually get an idea on those that believe in them, and we'll support them as we move forward in our city.
Okay, everyone.
Wait, I just want to say, because I want to make sure that we're honest with our young people. So it's tough. We want to be clear. It is a rough situation out there for young people, particularly in certain communities. We want to be honest about that, but we want to ask them to be stronger than the situation that they're in. They do not have to go to the negativity.